If she has anxious attachment, no contact doesn't just make her miss you. It triggers a primal panic response. Her brain literally interprets your silence as a life or death threat. Now, before you think this gives you power, understand this. Recognizing someone's attachment style isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding human psychology so you can make informed decisions. Let me show you what's actually happening in her nervous system. I used to think all breakups were the same, that everyone processed separation the same way, that no contact would have the same effect on every person. I was completely wrong. Some people experience your absence as relief, others experience it as painful but manageable, and some experience it as a complete nervous system meltdown, a threat to their very survival. Understanding why these differences exist changed everything about how I viewed my past relationships. It explained patterns I'd been repeating for years without realizing it, and it gave me the framework to make better decisions moving forward. This isn't pop psychology. This is attachment theory, one of the most researched and validated frameworks in psychology. It was developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth through decades of studying how infants bond with caregivers and how those early patterns shape adult relationships. And what they discovered is that the way we learned to attach in childhood becomes the blueprint for how we relate to romantic partners as adults. Not because we're consciously choosing it, but because it's wired into our nervous system as a survival mechanism. If you're serious about understanding relationship psychology and breaking your own patterns, hit that subscribe button now. This is where we go beyond surface-level advice into actual science. Let me break down the 4 attachment styles in a way that actually makes sense. First, secure attachment. This is what healthy attachment looks like. People with secure attachment feel comfortable with both intimacy and independence. They can be close to their partner without losing themselves. They can have space without feeling threatened. They trust that their partner cares about them even when they're not physically present. In conflict, secure people can communicate their needs directly. They don't play games. They don't punish with silence. They don't cling desperately. They just talk about what's wrong and work toward resolution. About 50 to 60% of people have secure attachment. If you're in a relationship with someone securely attached, breakups still hurt, but they're not catastrophic. These people can process loss, grieve appropriately, and move forward without their entire identity collapsing. Second, anxious attachment. This is where things get intense. People with anxious attachment have a deep fear of abandonment. They need constant reassurance that their partner still cares. They're hypervigilant to any sign of distance or rejection. They often feel like they love more than they're loved. In relationships, anxiously attached, people can be wonderful partners, attentive, caring, deeply invested. But they also struggle with trust. They need frequent contact. They panic when their partner pulls away. They often protest separation through emotional displays, pursuit, or attempts to re-engage. About 20% of people have anxious attachment. And when you go no contact with someone anxiously attached, you're not just creating distance, you're activating their deepest wound. Third, avoidant attachment. This is the opposite pattern. People with avoidant attachment value independence above connection. They're uncomfortable with too much closeness. They need a lot of space. They often feel suffocated by a partner's emotional needs. In relationships, avoidant people can seem distant or uncommitted. They might pull away when things get too intimate. They struggle to express vulnerable emotions. They protect themselves by maintaining emotional distance. About 25% of people have avoidant attachment. When you go no contact with someone avoidant, they often feel relieved initially. The pressure is off. They have their space back. But later, they may experience delayed grief or regret. Fourth, disorganized attachment. This is a combination of anxious and avoidant, people who desperately want connection but are terrified of it. They pull you close, then push you away. They create chaos in relationships because their attachment system is sending conflicting signals. This usually develops from trauma or highly inconsistent caregiving. It's the rarest style, but the most challenging in relationships. People with disorganized attachment need professional support to heal. Now here's what's important. These aren't fixed personality traits. They're adaptive strategies we learned in childhood, and they can change with awareness and effort. Let's talk specifically about what happens to someone with anxious attachment when you go no contact. Remember, anxiously attached people developed their strategy in childhood with inconsistent caregivers. Sometimes the caregiver was available and loving. Sometimes they were distant or neglectful. The child never knew which version they'd get, so they learned to protest separation loudly because sometimes protest brought the caregiver back. This pattern gets encoded in the nervous system. As adults, when someone they're attached to becomes unavailable, their brain doesn't interpret it as, "my ex is taking space." It interprets it as, "I'm being abandoned and might not survive." This isn't metaphorical. The same brain regions that process physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex and the insula, light up during social rejection. For anxiously attached people, this response is amplified. Your silence literally feels like a threat to their survival. So what happens when you go no contact with an anxiously attached person? First comes panic. They might text repeatedly, call from different numbers, show up at your place, reach out through mutual friends. This isn't manipulation. It's a nervous system in distress trying to re-establish connection. Then comes protest behavior. They might get angry, accuse you of being cruel or cold, post emotional messages on social media, try to make you jealous. This is their attachment system trying every strategy it knows to get you to respond. If these don't work, they move into despair, deep sadness, loss of appetite, difficulty sleeping, inability to focus. This is grief, but intensified by the feeling that they're fundamentally unlovable, which is the core wound of anxious attachment. Eventually, if no contact continues, they start to detach. But this takes longer than it would for other attachment styles, where a secure person might start feeling better in weeks. An anxiously attached person might struggle for months. And here's what's critical to understand. This intense reaction doesn't mean you should break no contact. It doesn't mean you owe them a response. It just means you need to understand what's happening so you can maintain your boundary without guilt and without using their pain as validation of your worth. Their panic doesn't mean you're irresistible. It means their attachment system is triggered. These are very different things. Drop a comment if you're recognizing yourself or your ex in these patterns. Understanding is the first step to healing. Now let's talk about avoidant attachment and no contact, because the reaction is completely different. Avoidantly attached, people learned in childhood that expressing needs pushed the caregiver away. So they learned to suppress their needs, to be independent, to not rely on anyone. They developed what's called a deactivating strategy. They automatically reduce their need for connection when it feels threatening. As adults, when you go no contact with an avoidant person, their first response is often relief. The relationship felt like pressure. Your needs felt like demands. The conflict felt overwhelming. Now it's quiet. They have their space back. They can breathe. They might immediately throw themselves into work, hobbies, friends, or even new relationships. Not because they didn't care about you, but because this is how they regulate emotion, through distance and distraction. For the first few weeks or even months, they seem completely fine. They're not reaching out. They're not protesting. They might even seem happier. And this can be devastating if you're waiting for them to miss you. But here's what's happening beneath the surface. They're not actually processing the loss. They're avoiding it. They've activated their deactivating strategy so effectively that they've numbed themselves to the grief. Eventually, sometimes months later, the grief catches up. They'll have a moment where the avoidance cracks and they feel the loss. This is often when they reach out. Not right after the breakup, but long after, when you've moved on. But even then, if you respond and start moving toward reconnection, their avoidance system might activate again. They might pull away. This is the anxious avoidant trap that destroys so many relationships. One person pursues, the other distances in an endless cycle. Understanding this pattern is crucial because it helps you recognize when you're being drawn into a dynamic that can't work without both people doing serious attachment work. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We're going deep into relationship psychology every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. So why does this matter for your healing? Because understanding attachment theory isn't just about analyzing your ex, it's about understanding yourself. You have an attachment style too, and it's probably influencing your behavior in ways you don't realize. If you're anxiously attached, you might be experiencing her absence as abandonment. You might be protesting through obsessive thinking, social media stalking, or drafting texts you don't send. You might be interpreting her silence as evidence that you're unlovable. Recognizing this helps you see that your panic isn't truth. It's your attachment system activating. You can learn to soothe yourself instead of seeking reassurance externally. You can practice staying regulated even when connection is unavailable. If you're avoidantly attached, you might be dismissing the relationship's importance, telling yourself you're fine when you're not, jumping into new relationships to avoid feeling the loss, judging your ex as too needy when really you were too distant. Recognizing this helps you actually process the grief instead of avoiding it. You can learn to stay present with uncomfortable emotions instead of running from them. If you're securely attached, you're probably already doing the healthy things: grieving, talking to friends, taking time to reflect, gradually moving forward. But even secure people can become anxious or avoidant when paired with certain partners. Understanding the dynamics helps you recognize when you're being pulled out of your healthy patterns. Here's the big insight. Anxious and avoidant people are often attracted to each other. The anxious person's pursuit temporarily soothes the avoidant person's fear of being trapped. The avoidant person's distance temporarily validates the anxious person's fear of abandonment. It's a perfect storm of mutual triggering. If you keep ending up in this dynamic, no contact alone won't fix it. You need to understand your own attachment patterns and actively work to become more secure. This means therapy. This means reading about attachment. This means practicing new relationship behaviors even when they feel unnatural. This means choosing partners differently based on compatibility, not just chemistry. Let's talk about identifying patterns so you don't repeat them. Look back at your relationship history. Do you see a pattern? Do you consistently choose people who are emotionally unavailable? That might indicate anxious attachment on your part. You're unconsciously seeking the familiar dynamic of having to work for love. Do you consistently choose people who are too demanding of your time and attention? That might indicate avoidant attachment. You're seeking the familiar pattern of feeling suffocated and needing escape. Do your relationships tend to be stable, communicative, and mutual? That suggests secure attachment. You're choosing compatible partners and maintaining healthy dynamics. Look at how you handle conflict. Do you pursue and demand resolution? Do you shut down and need space? Do you stay engaged and work through it collaboratively? These patterns reveal your attachment style in action. Look at how you experience breakups. Do you spiral into panic and despair? Do you immediately disconnect and move on? Do you grieve appropriately and gradually heal? Your grief response reveals your attachment security. Here's the powerful part. Once you see your patterns, you can change them. You can learn to recognize when you're being triggered. You can pause instead of react. You can choose different responses. If you're anxious, you can practice self-soothing instead of seeking reassurance. You can learn that silence doesn't equal abandonment. You can choose partners who are consistent and available instead of distant and inconsistent. If you're avoidant, you can practice staying present with emotion instead of distancing. You can learn that closeness doesn't equal loss of self. You can choose partners who respect your need for space while still maintaining connection. This is the real work of healing after a breakup. Not just getting over one person, but understanding the patterns that led you to that person and changing them so you make better choices next time. Attachment theory gives you the framework. No contact gives you the space. Self-awareness gives you the power to change. If this video helped you understand yourself or your ex better, smash that like button. Drop a comment telling me your attachment style: anxious, avoidant, secure, or still figuring it out. This community is here to support your growth. And make sure you watch the next video, where we go even deeper into why some people can't let go, even when they should. There's neuroscience behind it that will blow your mind. See you there.